Hey, low carb family, how are y'all doing? Just want to take a minute to check in with everybody. I hope you've all had a great week. I'm just here to vent a little. My week's been nothing but crazy, but I'm glad to be home. Uh, got to go to church today, and I'm home wearing my jammies, all comfy, um, waiting on deciding what to have for dinner. Um, I just know that I have a lot of friends out there, and I just wanted to ask you again to keep the prayers coming for my husband. I'll start with our beginning of the week. Monday, I had just put, I think, chicken or something in the oven for dinner. Got a call from our son, and the van was at the gas station and would not start. So he's only 17. So I hopped in the car, drove over there. We called AAA and waited about an hour for them to show up. They came, they started the van, they left, then the van quit again. So called the tow truck company back again that was just there. They came back, he started it again, and it quit again. So he said, that's not the battery, it's the alternator. So I'm like, oh, great. So we had the van towed home. That was Monday night. Tuesday was trying to figure out where we're going to get the van fixed, where we're going to get the money to get the van fixed, how to figure out all of that. So, with the help of family that knew a guy that would help, we were able to get it taken care of. But we had called another garage that had done some work for us in our area, and it was going to cost us $650. $650 that we really didn't have. So I started asking for help from some friends and family on whether that was a good price, because I don't know. I'm very car stupid. I couldn't tell you what a good price for any of these repairs are. So my cousin, thankfully, his son has a friend that works on cars, and instead of it costing $650, it only costs $330, which I am eternally grateful for. That helped out tremendously. Thank you to all my friends and family that pitched in to help in this little mini vehicle crisis. So so then so that's Tuesday, was figuring out how to get that fixed. Wednesday, um, we had made arrangements. We were going to have the van towed to this guy's garage that was going to fix it. So I come home from work Wednesday, uh, called AAA, put in the order so they could come and tow it away. And we waited and waited, and an hour came and went. I called AAA back. They had lost our order. They didn't even have us in there. And so by this time, it's getting later in the evening. Um, I still needed to help my husband with some things because he's still, still in full recovery mode from his long illness from last year. And so I called and I said, "Can you please make this one an urgent call, because I need to get off here and help my husband who's handicapped to get settled in and ready for bed for the night." So she's like, "Oh, sure." So we knew the tow truck was coming sometime shortly. Well, then my husband started not feeling well. Checked his pulse, and it was like 125. His blood pressure was sky high. So, we thought, well, we waited a few minutes, checked it again. It still wasn't looking good. The tow truck driver comes. So I said to my son, go wait out there with dad, recheck his blood pressure in a few minutes, and I'll go handle the tow truck driver. So I went outside, and it was the same guy who had towed our van home Monday night. So he was there, and I gave him the instructions on where to take it and how to drop off the key there. And I said, look, I got to get back inside. My husband's not feeling well. So he's like, oh, okay. So we go in. we check his numbers again. They're still not looking good. So I had started to call 911, and then my husband said, "No, I don't want you to do that." So I hung up, still thought, okay, well, we'll recheck him here in a few minutes. Well, 911 knew I tried to call, even though I hung up right away. So they called me and said, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, well, and then I told them what was going on. So we ended up calling for the squad to come Wednesday night, and they checked him out, and he was in AFib. So we went to our local ER on Wednesday night. They gave him medication, got his numbers back down to pretty normal. They said he had went from AFib to more like a flutter, but that his numbers were reading well. So they sent him home. So he gets home close to 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. And so we went to bed, got some sleep, got up the next day. This would have been Thursday. And he was not feeling well again. Checked his numbers, high blood pressure again, and high pulse rate again. So at that point, we're like, okay, so we called because he's got a cardiologist appointment coming up, but it was scheduled not till April. But we called that office. They told us, because they hadn't technically seen him yet, that they couldn't advise us. They said to call your family doctor. Call there, we have to leave a voicemail. Didn't hear anything back, and then we kept checking him. His numbers were bad, and we're like, we need to get this checked out again. He was very reluctant. He did not want to go back to the hospital, and I can't blame him one bit. But we called our local fire department and told them what was going on, and they definitely suggested he be checked out. So they said, but you'll need to call 911 so they can dispatch it. So called 911 again. They came, and sure enough, he was in AFib again. So back to the hospital we went. So they gave him medicine. He still was in AFib, but he was looking a little bit better. So they decided to admit him on Thursday night because they wanted to just put him in observation, keep an eye on him, and see, how things went. So he went got admitted into a room, and they were giving him medication to try to get everything normalized. And when I had left there Thursday night, they had said they wanted him to fast from midnight on, and that the cardiologist or doctor would be in to see him the next morning, and from there decide if they need to cardio invert him. So I had come back home that night, and I went back in the next morning, which would have been Friday morning, because I certainly was going to be there if they were going to cardio invert him, and I wanted to see what the doctor said when they got there. So we went in, and the nurse from night shift had said, well, he inverted on his own about 6 a.m. So that was good news that had happened. The cardiologist did come in, and he said he still has AFib going on, and we kind of were told that this could be a long-term thing that he deals with, that a lot of people just have to deal with it with medication. He had talked about the cardio inversion and said that my husband was a high risk for doing that due to all of his health conditions. They didn't want to do that unless it's like, last resort kind of thing, that, if the medication didn't work. So they tried him on a different medication and kept him there for a few more hours just to make sure he could tolerate that medication. So he did pretty well, and his numbers got back to pretty much normal. Still jumping around a little, but his numbers had went down, and they decided to release him. So he came home from the hospital It would have been Friday. Oh gosh, I think we maybe got home maybe around 6:30 or so Friday night. So that's kind of been the week we had. And so I'm glad that he's back home and he's doing okay. We still have to see a cardiologist, the one we saw in the hospital, and follow up with his family doctor this coming Friday. So it was very hard for him especially to go into the hospital after he spent that long time last year. For those of you that don't know, he spent 8 months straight in hospital nursing home, um, trying to get over bad infection, and then his knee was messed up, and then he got to where he couldn't walk, and all sorts of problems that prevented him from coming home. But he's been home since May, and hanging in there and doing okay. And on a good note, and he got on me in my last video for not sharing with you all that he has lost over 100 pounds. He's doing great with his weight. Since he's been home in May, he's been eating low carb. Um, he doesn't technically eat keto because his carbs are more within maybe 80 to 100 total carbs a day, but it's working for him and he's doing great with that. And I have been able to stay keto even through this whole crazy week. Um, these kind of weeks were the kind of weeks that would drive me to eating anything and everything, but thankfully I was in the right mindset and just wanted to keep, keep doing well with my diet. So, just wanted to check in with you guys, update you, and to ask you to continue praying. And I sure love my low carb family, my keto friends, my carnivore friends. I thank you all for your support, for your inspiration from your videos. And hopefully, this week's going to be a better week for all of us. Love you all. Goodbye.